What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Real Talk Realty Podcast, where we put the real in real estate. You are with your host, JD.
And Gabby.
And Louie. Has anybody ever smelled that new car smell? That new car smell. Well, it's even better when you have a new home smell.
Yeah.
Right? Our topic today is talking about new homes, what the benefits are, and if it's right for you.
And I think the first point of the conversation is, when is it a good time to go check and see if a new build is going to work for you? I would argue that it's always a good time to check. There's no harm in checking, right, to see if that's going to be a good fit for you. And I say that because there are so many advantages, and that's what we're going to talk about today, to going with a new construction, a new build. We're going to talk about the ins and outs of what to expect throughout that process and how it actually works, because I think that there is a misconception about how buying a new home or acquiring land first and then building on it works, right? Because there's a lot of frustrated buyers out in the market right now that aren't being able to find what they want on the resale, market. And they're saying, well, now I just want to buy land. And it's not quite that easy. I mean, it's a relatively easy thing once you know the steps, but it's not as easy as just find land, call builder, build home. It's not that easy.
It's not that easy. One of the great advantages in today's market to even consider buying a new home is that construction prices are going down a little bit. New home sales have lower their prices a bit,
yep.
Right? Usually it's how much percentage higher to buy a new home than to buy a resale.
Right.
Well, it's almost worth it now because of home construction have gone down in prices.
Yeah.
So it is definitely time to look at new homes.
Absolutely. And when the market was exploding with on the resale market side of things, where there was multiple offers on every property, there was a whole flock of buyers that said, you know what, I'm tired of competing. I'm going to go to new construction. And at that time, new construction was significantly more. Now we're noticing that because home prices are dropping in some markets in the resale side, that new construction has been making some adjustments to try to be a little bit more competitive and still retain some of that buyer pool.
They're not only lowering their prices, a lot of these new home builders are offering fantastic incentives.
Absolutely.
You know, if you go with their lender, they'll give you some money towards closing. They'll give you discounts on upgrades.
Some of them even have great buy downs.
Yep.
Like I know DR Horton, last time I checked, it was like 5.29 or something.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
like they're
Sometimes the incentivized rates on some of these new builds can be as far as 2% lower than what the resale market's offering. And, there's obviously some stipulations with that. You'd have to use their in-house title company. You'd have to use their in-house lender. But really, it's not a lot of risk associated with that, because if you're saving 2% on, with their mortgage person, who cares if you're using their mortgage person?
I remember when DR Horton first started, I had a young couple, first-time home buyers, and I've been taking them out to see these older ranchers, and all these older ranchers needed work.
Yeah.
They needed work, and they needed a lot of work. And after seeing about 5 or 6 of them, I said, maybe it would behoove us to go take a look at a new home and see what you're able to get. And I took them over to DR Horton, and lo and behold, they signed a contract, and they've been living there for about 2 years now, and they are in equity, instant equity.
Yeah. Well, see, a lot of these communities, one in particular here in Frederick County, the Wren Quarter over there with DR Horton, close to downtown Frederick, there for a while, they had some pretty architecturally unique townhouses that they were building over there, but they were super modern looking, really cool. And one of the plus sides was I sold a few of those, and the plus side of that is your buyer would buy it, right? They'd close. And then as the community starts to grow and they continue to build, those properties, they would start to sell them for a little bit more each time, right?
Yes.
And that's putting those people that got into the community early in a really good situation, really, to where, 3 years down the road, typically, in years past, you buy a new construction home, you're going to have to be, it's a pretty large commitment. You'd have to be there for a significant amount of time before you can consider potentially selling it and making a profit to then upgrade to something else.
I almost seriously considered buying a spec home myself and getting that equity up so that we could either rent it or sell it. So
So I actually purchased my single family house 3 years ago, and in 3 years I have over $200,000 in equity.
That's amazing.
That is mind blowing.
Was one of the first ones in that community to be built.
There you go.
And that's another thing too of buying early in, before they finish the whole, development area. But I do think like new construction, the values tend to go a lot higher.
The technology and the way they build them, they're going to be more modern. So even when you go to sell them in 4 to 5 years, if that's your plan, it's not an outdated property. You're not going to have to do a bunch of things to it to get it ready for the market, to get ready to sell. It's going to blend in with the rest of the new builds. And, it's not always that way, right? It really does depend on your individual market and how hot it is. And Frederick County does particularly well with new construction. But Louis said something there a second ago for some of you viewers who might not understand some of the terminology. He said spec homes. So there's different types of homes when you go out into looking in new construction. You have your custom home builds. You have what some would call almost a semi-custom home build. And then you have your spec homes, right? So a spec home is something that, the builder has already built it. It's ready. It's move-in ready. There's not going to be an opportunity for you to go in there and switch out the floor plan or switch out the floors or switch out cabinets. It's pretty much going to be, they'll give you a handful of choices if you can get in there early enough, while they're in the process of building it. If you catch them early enough, sometimes you can get a hand in on what you want. But even then, it's usually you have your options between just what they have ordered, right? Because they're building an entire community, and so they order mass amount of cabinets and maybe 2 to 3 different colors and a couple different styles of flooring. But plus side to a spec home is that it's already there, right? So in new construction, a lot of the times it could take, 6, 9, maybe even as far, depending on how customized your home's going to be, even longer than a year.
That's right. And D.R. Horton is specifically known for building homes first, then selling them. And you see a home you like, you write a contract, and within 30 days you're in.
Yeah.
There's no 6 months waiting for this and waiting for that.
And that's a huge, huge advantage, right? Because the downside to building a custom home is, potentially waiting a while to get into it. And then obviously the process, prices can change. The manufacturing of certain parts to build a home can go up. The price can, those types of
delays and weather, things like that.
Yeah, delays and weather is definitely a big one. So the spec home offers you the opportunity to still get in quickly, and also it's brand new.
It's stress-free.
There's many advantages, right? Personally, I have bought every single home that I have bought new. That's a fun fact.
Yeah,
I
me
don't
too.
know, I don't know if you know that,
Yeah,
but
me
that's
too.
a fun fact about me.
Y'all rich.
Me too. I have never owned
I've
Richie
never
rich.
owned a resale home ever. But I think like for me, and especially my husband, like we don't like to have to fix things. Like we want everything to just be ready there and just complete, right? But I think another thing too, that they offer home warranties, right? So that is something too that especially for first-time home buyers, not even just for first-time home buyers, just a buyer in general, that relieve that if something were to, fall apart 6 months or even a
peace
year
of mind.
into it. Yeah, the peace of mind that you can call up your home warranty and chances are, they'll fix the things for you.
Yeah, I'm just addicted to the new smell.
I mean, look at the guy. He's got on a new suit. He's always fresh. This guy stays fresh. He wants his home fresh, his suit's fresh. You should see his vehicles. He's always got the nice vehicles. This guy's a damn movie star.
Oh, please.
Okay, but back to so this home warranty thing. Sometimes we have first-time home buyers and they go through resales and they get like worried, oh, this, may fall apart or this may fall apart. I think it's a great opportunity for first-time home buyers to look into new construction, right? Because you will have that, peace of mind that you're walking into a house that chances are you're not going to have any problems with.
Right.
It.
And let's face it, when you're young, just starting out, right, and you're first-time home buyer, most people don't know how to fix certain things.
Right. That too.
Or they don't have the money to go into a older home and put into it what it needs in order to bring it up to par, right?
Absolutely.
It's true.
Or the wherewithal. I have some clients that are just like, listen, we don't know how to fix things, okay? We don't know the first thing about, drywall or doing this.
Hanging a fan.
Those types of things. If that's you, then you are definitely somebody who should check out the new build situation.
Which reminds me, today we did meet with a builder, and they're different than D.R. Horton. They're into building semi-custom homes.
Yeah.
And they're able to build on a lot of your choice. If you find a lot, they'll build a house on it for you. They got multiple plans, And if you have a plan yourself, you can bring that plan yourself and they'll work with you.
Yeah. And this is one of the biggest things about, and the builder that we're talking about, guys, shout out to Oliver Homes. Okay. Oliver Homes, they are based out of Hagerstown, Maryland. They do cover with about they said a 45-minute to an hour radius outside of Hagerstown. So they're over in Jefferson County, Berkeley County.
Yep.
Pennsylvania.
Frederick County, absolutely. And here, they are awesome, okay? And this is why, because here's the thing. When you go to buy, let's say if you're going to go buy a custom home, right? You're going to need to go find the lot yourself, right? You're going to need to purchase the lot yourself. And listen, for those of you who don't know, this may sound mind-blowing because I've had clients not know that this is how it works. You are not going to go finance land. Let's just get that out there. You don't finance the land. You know why? Because let's say you lose your job or something catastrophic happens, something in your life where you now can't pay a note on, say, this piece of land, right? What is the bank going to do? You can't. It's hard to sell a piece of land with nothing on it, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big risk for them, so that's why they don't do it. So if you're going to go full custom, there is no other way to do that other than to purchase the land cash. Go find your builder. You know, usually your builder will maybe check out the land to make sure it's suitable and stuff. You're going to have your study period during your land purchase where you're going to make sure that it can perk. And for those that you don't know what perk means, they're going to make sure, you know, that a septic and well can go on the property. If so, for how many bedrooms. They basically are going to dig a hole in the earth there, and they're going to put water in, time it to see how well it drains through the soil. They can only do that through certain months of the year, right, because of the way the ground is in the winter and all of that. So
you never know what kind of land it is. I mean, I've had customers try to make an offer on a piece of land, and it was all rock.
Yeah,
so they couldn't perk. So back to Oliver Homes.
Back to Oliver Homes, the way they do it. The financing part. You actually will go find the lot, and you can send them. Let's say you've already had a meeting with Oliver Homes, and you're just kind of getting your feet wet. You can actually give them the land or the lot that you're looking at, and they will drive by. They're very familiar with the area they were talking about, and they will go and make sure that it's something they can do. You will make an offer on that lot, right? And you'll make an offer. It will be a cash offer because even if you don't have cash, because once you make that offer, you're going to build in a 2-week feasibility study to make sure that it's buildable. Right. And during that time, once you realize that it is or isn't buildable, if it is, you're going to assign that contract over to Oliver Homes. They're going to close on it. They're going to pay cash for that lot, and then they're going to lend you the money to finance that property that they're going to build.
Yes, so there's no money out of pocket at the beginning.
Right.
Makes it very easy for the consumer, and when they go out to the lot to do their feasibility study, it's at no charge.
Right.
They will look at the land, make sure that you're able to put septic or if it's a city water hookup, whatever, and they will do that free of charge.
Yep.
And they'll determine whether the lot is buildable. Once that's done, you're on your way to...
And they only charge a 1% deposit. Once you decide the style of home that you're going to build on there, they're only going to charge you a 1% deposit throughout that whole process. Whereas in a custom home build, they are going to divide the build into multiple segments in which you're going to be paying, a piece here.
But the deposit's a lot larger.
Yeah, the deposit is much larger. But not only, aside from the deposit, you're going to be paying a segment here, a segment here, a segment here.
Well, too, most custom home builders, they do the construction to perm loan. And so that means that you're making payments on that. It's interest-only payments, but you're still making those payments before the house is actually up and ready.
Most likely while you're also floating your current mortgage.
Correct.
Yeah. So if there's anybody out there that is thinking about building a semi-custom home on a piece of property, reach out to us. We know the builders, and we can connect you with those builders and get you on your way.
Another thing, too, one of the big advantages is that these builders, they will help you with the closing costs, right?
Yeah.
They have a lot of incentives with closing costs. And I know some of these builders are also very flexible with the closing costs. I had one specific situation where I think the buyer was like $3,000 short. they were able to like increase the price, you know, an extra $3,000 to give that buyer the $3,000 additional credit on top of what they already were giving. But the builders tend to be a lot more creative too, and they can help you. With
the art
more
of
money.
the deal. The art of the deal.
Absolutely. Yeah, because Oliver Homes, that was one of my questions that when we met with them today was, hey, you know, what if we have somebody who's got a minimum amount down? Let's say they're going FHA. So you're, you know, let's say 3.5% down, right? And you want a new home, but all you have is, you know, the 3.5% down payment. They will build the closing costs into the purchase price, which on the resale side of things, unless you're finding a property that's been sitting for a long time where the seller is motivated, it's pretty difficult to get your closing costs built in.
But even then, most of the time with resale, you have that appraisal, you know, can possibly come down low.
Yeah.
I have never seen a new construction appraisal come back like low ever.
No.
And so what Gabby means by that, just to expand on that, so like if let's say you find a property, right, and everything in this neighborhood's going for, say, $350,000, and you need $12,000 in closing assistance, right? If you build that into the purchase price and let's say instead of it being $350,000, now it's $362,000 because your offer is $362,000 because you're asking for $12,000 back. There could be an issue 3 weeks into the transaction where the bank's going to determine that the property is only worth $355,000. Well, now the seller, okay, not only are they locked into giving you the $12,000, now they're going to have to make a price drop from that contract price of $362,000, which is a $7,000 gap. So now they're taking a $7,000 bath on that deal. Now they have the opportunity to come back and ask the buyer for some more assistance on that. But normally, if the buyer's already asking for $12,000, they're probably pretty tight and don't have that excess money to help close the deal.
That's true.
So you do have to worry about that in some situations as far as building it into the purchase price.
Right. I had the experience, I had the pleasure of working with Oliver Homes. I had a client that was moving from Florida to here, and we went to Oliver Homes and we found them a lot. They had built a subdivision called Shenandoah, and they went in. I went in with them. They chose the lot. They chose their house, which one they were going to build, and now they're living in a beautiful home built by Oliver Homes, and they built a good house.
They really do build a good house. And finding a good builder is another reason why it's appropriate to reach out to somebody knowledgeable in the market like us. And I say that because there's a lot of people building homes out there.
Yeah.
There's not so many of them building an amazing quality home, right?
That is correct.
And we're not going to go on this podcast and start talking about you guys who are building bad homes. But we know who you are.
They're out there. It behooves you to really, really consider getting a good certified realtor that knows the market, knows these builders.
Us.
Yes, that's why you need an agent, like you said, because these agents will be able to tell you, maybe not all agents, right? But a good agent will tell you, maybe you shouldn't go with that builder, X, Y, and Z, and able to advise you more.
But here's the other thing too, right? Like just because you're deciding to go new construction does not mean you do not need a realtor. Okay, let's get that out there and I got a story for you guys. I had a time, this is pretty early in my career, I didn't know who was the good builders and who was not the good builders and all of this, right? So my client was buying under contract. He was under contract on a new construction home. And I said to him, hey, would you like to get the home inspected? And he said, JD, why would I get a new construction home inspected? And I said, because they're human, right? Everyone's going to make mistakes, even the builder. And there's a lot of people on that lot doing a lot of things.
It doesn't matter how good the builder is. There is no perfect builder out there.
That's key.
They will make mistakes.
Yeah.
Good builders will correct their mistakes.
Correct.
Some builders don't correct the mistakes. Therefore, that's why you need an inspector.
Exactly. There is no such thing as a perfect home. Louis just hit that nail on the head right there. But what separates a good builder from a bad builder is the ability to address and fix those things in a timely manner. But in this particular example, the client got a home inspection, right? And everything seemed to be going pretty well until he pulled out, you home inspectors who might be watching this, I don't know what that device is that you use that you can x-ray through walls and see the insulation. But whatever that thing was, he went on this one wall.
That was an infrared camera, and if the space is void, it'll show nothing versus a space that's insulated.
Yeah.
And they can also detect water leaks.
Yeah, I did see that, because
Right.
then it's the opposite. It's the cooler.
Right.
thing.
So actually, these record temperature.
Yeah.
So if you point at one of these cameras to the wall and there's no insulation, it's going to look. It's not going to look red.
Right.
It's going to look cold.
Yeah. And so that's exactly what happened. They put it on this wall. The entire wall had no insulation in a brand new home.
That's crazy.
And it was about 4 or 5 days prior to closing, because actually, depending on your home inspector, and we have some amazing ones. So if you ever need, come to us. We got the plug on the home inspector game. But there was, they come multiple times. They'll come like pre-drywall and check out what's going on as the home is being built. Well, this was the final inspection. So it was the first time that he could really do the thing where he's checking the walls for insulation and whatnot. Yep, no insulation. Took the report, sent it to the builder. You know what they had to do? They had to tear that entire wall down and spray it with insulation. And we would have never known, right?
Nope.
If we didn't have the realtor who recommended the home inspector who then found that out. These are just, that's one example. That is just one small example on why it would behoove you to have an expert on your side.
How important it is, right?
Yeah.
To have that person on your side, making sure that everything's done right, so that 3 years down the road, you don't find out, oh my God, they didn't put insulation in this house.
You're wondering why you can't keep heat in the house.
Yeah, why is my electric bill so high?
Right. Yeah.
Man, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you still can't figure it out.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And you're not going to have that thing laying around where you can shoot the wall and look at it.
No,
You're just going to not know.
No. So it's very important to have a realtor, whether you're buying a resale or you're buying new construction. It's very important.
Absolutely. Because we've all been in the business for so much time, not only do we know the builders, but we have great relationships with the people that are in their companies, right?
Yes.
So it pays. It's all about, what do they say? It's all about who you know.
Yeah.
It's who you know.
And guess what? We know them.
We know them.
So call us.
So, moral of the story, if you're looking to buy a house soon, you should consider new construction, because new construction is a very, very good option.
It seems like it could be out of reach, but sometimes
Yeah.
I've seen more times than not that it'd be totally in the reach.
And sometimes a better option.
A better option.
Yeah.
You don't know how many clients I've had that just don't know what they don't know, and they don't know what they can afford. And we get them into a new construction office, meeting with these salespeople. Wow, we can't afford this.
Yeah.
You know, so it pays to look.
It pays to look.
Pays to look.
We really appreciate you guys joining us today, and we hope that you took away a lot from our conversation regarding new construction. I think that if it sounds like something that you're interested in, please reach out to Louie or Gabby or myself, and we would be more than happy to guide you through that process. And we look forward to seeing you next week. Gabby's editing queen over here. She's been doing it every week. So shout out to Gabby. Let's give Gabby a little shout out for her editing. Yep.
And next week, we'll be here with another lender, right?
Yeah, we actually have a couple good special guests for the next couple weeks. We have our lender, Darren Rickwood, coming next week, and he's a fantastic guy and an even better lender. And then we also have Amy Wolf, who is a good friend of mine and also a top lender here in the area. She has serviced so many of my clients over the years, and I'm excited to have her on. She's a great personality to have on the show. So we look forward to you guys joining us, and until then, have a wonderful week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.